Hello everybody and welcome to the Football Philosophy channel, and I feel as though I can start with the actual team news. The reason I say that is it's absolutely unprecedented. I always check 4 or 5 of the newspapers. I try and do 5 to see what they get. I think we had one day, I think there was 3 who had the same team, never more than 3, and very rarely is it more than 2. Sometimes 2 of them have the same team. I've checked the Manchester Evening News, I've checked the Express, the Independent, the Standard and the Mirror. And I just can't believe my eyes. There's not a single solitary difference in all 5 newspapers. So I feel as though I can state quite categorically this is the team. For them all to have it exactly the same, you would imagine that they must have some sort of insight into the lineup. It's pretty close to what I thought it would be. In fact, it might even be what I thought it would be. I would have perhaps had Lindelof at the back, but they've gone with this. Every single newspaper's got this, or all 5 of those papers. They've gone with De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Bailey, Maguire and Telles. The changes that I was predicting, I was thinking Shaw would still play, but they've gone with Wan-Bissaka, Bailey, Maguire and Telles. They've got Pogba and Matic in the middle, Bruno at number 10, and they all reckon that there's going to be a front 3 of Greenwood, Cavani and Marcus Rashford. So, like I say, with all 5 of them predicting the exact same team, you have to think to yourself, is there some sort of leak? Did they, how have they all got to the exact same team? It is rather unusual. If that is the team, I'm not convinced with the attacking lineup. Greenwood and Rashford on the flanks with Cavani at number 9. I think Cavani deserves a game, and he's been playing well enough when he's been coming on. I really do believe he's a good choice at number 9, but I don't think he's going to get the supply. I mean, I hope, if this is the lineup, by the way, it's not the lineup yet. The lineup should be out any minute now, 2 minutes. So it would be more worth discussing this when we see that it's correct. Obviously, you've got to feel that it is correct when every single paper's predicting that. But I've seen Cavani. It was pretty well spoken about at the weekend, where Rashford didn't serve him the ball when he was running through, and Rashford ended up running down a blind alley, and he turned round and waved his arms at the bench as if to say, what's going on here? But I also remember a game where Greenwood was on the right and Greenwood cut in field to try and have a shot when he got sort of towards the corner of the 6-yard box, and again Cavani started complaining, and on that occasion Anthony Martial was playing at the same time. I remember him turning to Anthony Martial, and it appeared as though he was sort of saying to Anthony Martial, what's going on here? So I think Greenwood and Rashford are not really wingers. Really, they're strikers who are being asked to play on the wing. And Greenwood, if he's on the right, likes to cut in and have a shot with his left. If Rashford's on the left, he likes to cut in and have a shot with his right. Almost to the exclusion of actually trying to get round the full-back and crossing it either on the right with Greenwood. He won't try and get past the full-back, or very rarely, and cross it with his right. And Rashford on the other side will rarely try and get past the full-back and cross it with his left. And that's the type of service that I believe Cavani would thrive on. His movement in the box is fantastic. He gets across the near post. I really do believe that he could have a proper frustrating night. What I would do, if that is the starting lineup, I would be picking Rashford on the right and I'd be picking Greenwood on the left. And I know it's always the other way round, but we've got a lad there playing at centre forward. Is that the team?
Team's out, yeah. De Gea in goal, yeah. Bailey and Maguire at centre half.
Yeah.
Shaw and Wan-Bissaka.
Shaw, right, so they got that wrong. I thought Shaw would play, go on.
Then we've got Pogba.
Yeah.
Fred,
right.
Fernandes.
Yeah.
And Martial. Greenwood.
Yeah.
And Cavani.
Right, so no Rashford. So the papers were all wrong, and they got 3 wrong, I think, didn't they? No Matic, no Telles, and no Rashford. So Greenwood is going to be on the right, I think, and Cavani at number 9 and Martial on the left. I think I'm not suggesting for a minute that Martial's the type of winger who likes to go outside and cross it with his left, but at least when he's looking in, when he's got the ball at his feet, he plays more with his head up and he just looks to pass it. So I think Cavani could get a little bit more joy with Martial playing. I'm amazed that Matic isn't getting a start. I wonder if I don't want to start looking ahead already to this, but I wonder if that means Matic might be playing against Liverpool in the Cup, or is Ollie not even thinking like that? Is he not juggling the players around as if to sort of say, right, you can play a couple of games and now you're going to get a game? When did Matic start last? I thought Matic would have played tonight. I've got to be honest. Obviously, he didn't play at the weekend. Who did we play before that? Burnley, wasn't it? Yeah, he played at Burnley. So it's only the game before last. But I thought he'd have been back in today. So, McTominay out and Fred in. Pogba and Fred as a central midfield pair. Pogba, only as recently as, I don't know, 6 or 8 weeks ago, I was suggesting that we always had to have 2 out of 3, and the 3 were McTominay, Matic and Fred, because they are absolutely disciplined in the defensive work. And I didn't fancy Pogba doing that role, although he does play more defensively for France. But I've got to be honest, he's come in and he's surprised me with his discipline. He's done really well playing next to Matic in that role on numerous occasions. And, like I say, he's been disciplined.
I think that discipline could come from playing next to someone with the experience of Matic.
Possibly, but I'm sure he's been asked to do that job.
Be interesting to see how disciplined
he does do it for France, don't forget. But then again, with France, he's playing next to Kante as well. Pogba and Fred, Pogba will stay back, but it's a bit of an unusual one, that, when you think about it. It's nearly always McTominay with Fred, and if Pogba plays in that position, I know he's played other positions, like at weekend he played as well as McTominay and Fred, but it's often McTominay and Fred or Pogba and Matic. So he's mixed it up a little bit tonight, hasn't he? Pogba and Fred is an unusual pairing as our central midfield pairing. We have gone back, by the way. As much as I like Cavani being in the team and I like Marshall being in the team, I'm over the moon them two are in the team. I don't think Greenwood's been playing well enough to. When I say not been playing well enough, he's only been getting 2 and 3 and 4 minutes here, but I don't think he was playing well enough when he was getting more game time. And I'm not convinced by Greenwood on the right wing. I'm really not. But whoever the personnel are, I'm not convinced that we should be having 3 forwards and a number 10. Now, Martial at the weekend did play more as a left winger. We're playing Fulham today, we're not playing Liverpool. He played more as a left-sided midfield player. Pogba played as a right-sided midfield player. So it was 4 in midfield at the weekend. Tonight we will have a lot more of the ball. We will have more of the ball. I won't say we should have. We will have. So maybe we'll be okay. But Fulham are still going to have moments in the game. They're still going to have to track back. We can't just leave Pogba and Fred on their own in the middle of the midfield. If that happens, we could get swamped at times and easily concede a goal or 2. But
you'll never be able to tell whether this is the case or not. But I believe that previously when we played with 3 forwards, Marshall's at 9.
Yes.
The 9's never going to take it on himself to go and
Correct.
do the defensive work.
Great
While
shout.
he's playing from the left and Cavani's at 9, Marshall's intelligent enough to recognise the danger and be in position. Yes,
perfect. Absolutely bang on. So if Greenwood does his work as well, it should be a decent shape.
So.
Greenwood did great. He played that role against City. He played a full game virtually. Didn't play a full game, but he started.
He did it very well. So if Greenwood goes about his task on the right hand side like he did against City, and Marshall does what I expect Marshall to do anyway,
yeah.
We should be okay in terms of numbers across the midfield.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I thought the press conference was interesting, where he was asked a couple of questions, all he wanted, about Bruno's form, and he defended him vehemently, saying his form's fine, absolutely fine, and he was unlucky against Liverpool with a free kick that just. I thought it was very interesting actually what he said. It made me chuckle, to be honest. He actually said this. I can't remember it exactly word for word, but he basically said that he had a free kick that went just wide. And he also tried a couple of passes through that were only just either wide of the mark or slightly over it, whichever it was he said. But he basically said that on another day he might have had a goal or an assist. And to me it reminded me of the people on Twitter who think that makes everything okay. Do you know what I mean? If he basically saying that if his free kick would have gone in and he did say that. He actually said that he would have been flavour of the month. He didn't use that phrase. I can't remember the phrase.
What he kind of said, really, is that if that free kick had have gone in, people wouldn't be talking about
his form. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Whether or not he believes that or not, I don't know, but that's what he said, isn't it?
Yeah. So just by taking one kick of the ball, that's a decent kick of the ball, that completely nullifies everything else that's gone on in the game, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or it does in a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah. For me, his form's been the same for a long time.
For a while,
the underlying performances, I mean, let's be honest, the moments of brilliance make up such a small amount of time on a football pitch.
Correct.
A small amount of what it is that you contribute. The majority of it is controlling it and passing it. The vast majority of it.
Yeah.
It's a tiny minority of converting opportunities to assist or converting chances into goals.
100%.
So the fact that whether you're getting them right or wrong shouldn't be the measuring stick, the instrument of measurement to measure performance.
Of course it should.
It should be all of the other stuff.
All of the other stuff.
All of the other stuff.
And then if the icing on the cake's great,
fantastic.
Yeah, but you should still be good. The cake's still got to be good. And if the icing on the cake's good, that's brilliant. If the icing's not so clever, it doesn't really matter that much. That's how your game should be.
Correct. Now, people have been enjoying the icing too much for too long and not looking at what's inside the cake.
Yeah.
That's what's been going on. Now the icing's gone, they can discover that it's not particularly tasty cake.
That's what they're talking like, isn't it? Yeah. Go on, who's on?
There's a few in here, there's a few questions. Red Olsen, spot on Rick, 3 nines doesn't work for us.
I don't think so either, mate. Yeah.
Momo a riff. You're all deluded. Greenwood is an ice cold finisher and would be one of the best strikers in the world.
Who said that? Momo.
Momo.
I hope you're right, mate. He's definitely a good finisher. I mean, his goal against West Ham was fantastically taken, and he had to drag it back from behind himself. His goal against Leipzig, brilliantly taken, and obviously we know he can smash it. But I think you need a bit more than that to your game. He got a chance at number 9. Did he play at number 9? Was it against Watford? I thought he struggled. Like we were just talking about Bruno's performances recently. He can do those little bits of magic, but the general game has got to be better. Absolutely, definitely the case. It's got to be better.
To an extent, I agree with Momo in that he's saying, he's an ice cold finisher. I do think he's got particularly good finishing ability, but I think as a club we should be really trying to hone those particular set of skills rather than asking him to play out wide. He should be getting, when he gets his game time, it should be at centre forward. Now he struggles playing up front on his own. Any striker does. An experienced striker, a big strong striker does. The type of striker that he is, he needs to play in a 4-4-2 up front with somebody to try and get some chances off him. Not up front on his own. He's not going to lead the line.
And that's how we play a lot, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. So it doesn't suit him. So I'm not actually sure where he fits into our system. And I don't think, as a club trying to push for major honours, you can afford to be forfeiting minutes to produce players. You've not got that luxury. The top teams aren't doing that. You need to have the young players, because he's still a really young lad. We haven't got time.
They need to be nailed on certain. Like they need to deserve to be in the starting lineup, don't they? They don't just need to be. Oh, he's going to be great one day.
Yes.
He needs to be great now, or really, really good now, and he's not. I'm honest. Let's be honest. He's not really, really good now. He can score a goal. Yes. Don't get involved in the game enough.
It goes like this, doesn't it? If you're good enough, you're old enough.
Yeah.
Or if you're good enough, you're young enough. When we look at Matic,
older players,
we look at that way. But if you're not good enough, then you shouldn't be involved. It's not for us to make you. That's what loans are for. That's what.
Yeah, I agree.
It seems strange to me. But I do agree. I do think.
But he might score an hat-trick tonight as well. He can score. He can finish. Let's see.
Let's hope he does. Fred and Pogba played against Sevilla. Says Jarvo. Says Jarvo.
Right, that didn't go well, did it?
There's a Momo horrific, and there's a reason Mourinho never played Mata.
So he never played him, and what was the reason? What was the reason, Momo?
Yeah.
Don't know what he's getting at. What was the reason? And what scores the City game, anybody, if they want to put it on the thing? I'm going to check it on my phone.
Simula Mark pointed out how Ollie is instructing Bruno to try the Hollywood pass all the time.
Yes, I saw that. I was amazed. I was absolutely amazed at what Ollie said. He was just defending him, wasn't he? He's not gonna start sticking a knife into somebody, is he? Just because a pundit or a journalist asks him a question. What do you expect him to turn around and say? I've asked him not to play them sort of long passes and them difficult passes, but he won't listen to me. He's not going to say that, is he? And to be honest, if you think about it, it's fascinating when you think about it. He's obviously not asking him to cut it out. He's not. Ollie has not turned round and said, "Oh, he's not doing that," is he? He's not. When they've asked him about that, he's not turned round and said, "Oh, I don't think he does that. I think he keeps it simple." He's actually turned round and said, "That's how we want him to play." So if he's speaking the truth about that's how he wants one of his players to play, I think he's barking up the wrong tree, if you ask me.
The VL Gamer has said Van der Beek was ranked 30 Ballon d'Or nominee in 2019. Now he can't get a game for us.
Yeah.
It's a crying shame.
I'm desperate to see him get more game time. It's driving me mad. I'd love him to give him 20 minutes in Bruno's position. I don't know what the manager is afraid of. It's almost like he thinks Van der Beek's useless and he's going to upset the apple cart if he brings him on, as if the team's just going to go terrible if he brings him on. I don't get it.
Or is he that frightened of Bruno's personality?
I don't get it. Van der Beek's definitely a number 10. Whether you like it or not, he's not a proper solid defensive midfield player like McTominay or Fred or Matic, or Pogba's doing that job. I'm sure he can do all right there, but it's not how the game suits him. That's why he's not getting games there. Surely he'd get some games in front of McTominay or Fred, or in front of Matic even, if that's how they had him, if that's how they were looking at him.
Yeah.
But they're not giving him. There's all of those players, and there's more people playing in those positions. So you'd expect him to get game time there. I think they think he's a number 10, but they can't give him a game at number 10 because Bruno's playing at number 10. Why on earth are they frightened of giving him 15 or 20 minutes at least every other week in Bruno's position? Doesn't matter whether the game's going well or going badly. If it's going badly and we need a goal or we're desperate for a goal, then there's nothing wrong with changing a like-for-like player, i.e. position for position. It gives the defenders something different to think about. So if we need a goal, there's nothing wrong with giving him a game. If we don't need a goal, then everything goes hunky-dory. He looks after the ball better than Bruno does. So if we don't need a goal and we sort of killing game time or hanging on a little bit, he's a perfect player to bring on. So why on earth he doesn't get 15 or 20 minutes at least every other week? So I'm not asking for him to start it. Just give him 20 minutes every other week. Yeah. It's driving me round the bend, you can probably tell.
See, as Shet said, Ricky, this probably means next game McTominay and Matic play together, your favourite pair.
I hope so. But please, if they do, I hope they've still got the two wide men tracking back. Last time they played together against Leipzig, they were the only two midfield players. I've had people say to me on Twitter, didn't go too well against Leipzig. We played a back five. Make no mistake about it. Wan-Bissaka and Telles were the full backs, and they stayed back. If they came forward a bit, even if they come forward a bit, they're still short behind. You need two men on the flanks. You need to track the foot. Angelino, is it called, on the right back? I can't remember who their left back was. They had a field day. They were against one man. And also, that meant that the full-back had to stay back because he didn't have support in front of him. There was no Marshall on the left or no Pogba on the right. It was just the two full-backs on each side. So we had a back five, and then we had two forwards with Bruno all the way up the field with them most of the time. So against Leipzig, make no mistake about it, we had two midfield players who stayed in midfield most of the time. It was McTominay and Matic. It's no wonder they got overrun. No wonder. If McTominay and Matic would have played together against Liverpool on Sunday with Pogba wide on the right and Marshall wide on the left, look, you can never say, once you change a player, anything can happen in a game. But we'd have had equally as much chance of getting the 0-0 draw that we got if we'd have played McTominay and Matic instead of McTominay and Fred, or instead of Pogba and Matic, or whichever pair you want to look at. McTominay and Matic, I'm certain, is at least as good a pairing as any of the other pairings. But they've still got to have two players on the outside of them. They can't do it on their own. that's my answer to the Leipzig question, if anybody saw it on Twitter.
Bodeka. To be fair, Ricky, the game against Watford was an anomaly for me. No one really got to have a good game because there were too many changes, in my opinion. Let's see how he plays with most of the first team tonight. I know that's something that you speak about a lot in it, is when you do give lads a chance.
Yeah, you have got a better chance of showing what you can do when you play with the full team. But it'd still be handy for him if he was playing in his best position. I'm hoping to see Cavani and Martial being able to link up tonight. But I just think if we had another player on the other side who'd be looking for Cavani, I think we could see fireworks. I still think, well, look, let's wait and see. But I still think Greenwood, when he gets the opportunity, whenever he gets the ball, he seems to think about trying to have a shot first rather than thinking about trying to pass it.
Victor Anderson, what's happened to Mata? He never seems to get picked anymore.
Is he on the bench again tonight? He probably is he?
And then Craig Virgo from the UK said, Ricky, thoughts on Mata leaving? I don't know if that's been rumoured.
I've not seen that rumour, but he might as well, mate. And it's just so far down the pecking order. We're probably going to play, well, without a shadow of a doubt. Fulham's game plan tonight to start with will be to get to half time 0-0. They'll probably have a back five and a midfield four and a number 9. That's probably what they'll have, or a back 4 and a midfield 5. And it's up to us to play through them. And it's not like we're playing against Liverpool or City either. I think tonight's the perfect game for Wan-Bissaka. Look, I hope it goes right. It's horrible when you're talking about what you would rather we would do. I don't see it working well with Greenwood on the right. I think if Mata was playing, it's the perfect game for Mata to play. He can unpick locks. And I'm not talking necessarily about him. People look at assists too much and they look at the goal tallies too much. When I say unpick locks, he doesn't have to be the one who gets the assist. He's a very, very clever player. Mata can put a fullback in behind who crosses it and the fullback gets the assist. Mata's the one who can get the ball to somebody on the edge of the box who flicks it on. The person who flicks it on gets the assist. He gets assists himself, but he just is the man who can unpick locks, whether he gets the assists or not. So I think tonight is the perfect game where Mata could have played, and I think Cavani would definitely, I'll put my bottom dollar on it, Cavani would enjoy his game more if he was flanked by Mata and Martial rather than Greenwood and Martial.
Lucas, have you seen Maddison's post-game interview from yesterday? I think you'd like it.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I watched it last night.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, he was, and they kept him on as well. I think he's a little bit. I think he's a little bit naive. He's naive. He's the interviewer knew he was getting stuff out of him and asked him more and more questions. I thought it was a long after match interview for a player. It was eye opening the way he spoke about his manager and the way the manager said he said that the manager tells us it's a running game. We have to keep, we've got to get our running stats up, and there's lots of interesting stuff in it. It was really good, and he come across brilliantly. He really did.
Josh Harper, Rick, our fan base focuses on good moments rather than playing well and consistent performances.
Yeah, 99% of them do, yeah.
Good players are consistent players. Yeah. Too many people forget that. What do you think, Rick?
Yeah, you're 100% spot on, mate. You can tell that the way people go, he's got 17 goals or he's got 14 goals and he's got 7 goals, so he's better than him and all that. What a load of rubbish.
I think it's important here, by the way, that you kind of describe what it is that you mean by consistent. It's not just consistent as in you put the same performances game after game. It's consistency within the game, within each game itself. Yeah. Consistently get it under control well. Consistently take care over your passing.
Correct.
You're consistently doing all those basic things well all the time.
Get the basics right. Do the simple things right, and the rest will follow.
Yeah, so if you're consistent in a game and you're consistent over multiple games, that's a quality player. If you can add some fantastic moments on top of that, then you're talking into
you're talking different
top
class
player territory, aren't you?
Yeah. You can make a good career in the game if you can control. Roy Keane will tell you this: if you can control the ball, you can pass the ball, and you can run. you can make yourself a good career in the game. You're passing. It's not just about being able to pass the ball. That's really simplifying it. It's about picking the right pass and holding it till the right moment. You know, the first instant pass isn't always the right one. It often is, but it isn't always. Sometimes you just got to hold it a sec. I've seen our players round the edge of the box trying 1-2s. And when the ball's given into, I'll tell you, look, you know who I'm going to say. There's two prime culprits for it, Rashford and Bruno. They give the ball to them if they're around the edge of the box and make the run on. And they flick it on, and they're flicking it on first time. Sometimes it's right, don't get me wrong, but you need to know when it's right and when it's not right. And when you're flicking it on before that player has made up the few yards, or the player who's running towards the back four, he has to be close to the back four before you touch it on. He needs to be within a couple of yards. If he knocks it to you from 6 or 8 yards and you flick it on straight away, he's not made any ground up. The gap's too big. If you just take a touch, Anthony Martial understands the game. Just take a touch and then knock it, and he's on his move. Obviously, you've got to time it that he's onside as well. So sometimes it's the first time pass, but often as not, it's like take a touch and then knock it. And then you find you've got a lot more chance and you get through a lot more often. Bright, intelligent players. Wan-Bissaka knows that. Anthony Martial knows that. I see Marcus Rashford and I see Bruno far too often just flicking it on without taking a touch and then playing the pass. It only takes half a second. It just gives another half a second for him to get 3 or 4 more strides in, and he can be past them players and onto the ball.
That kind of understanding of kind of, it's sort of like trigonometry. It's like maths. You're understanding the angles and the speed at which things are moving, and just hold it a second as that angle just improves for me, and then play the ball.
Yeah, without a doubt.
It comes so natural to top players, doesn't it? And some players just don't get it. Sean Brennan Hybrid, do you think Wan-Bissaka's passing has improved in recent weeks? Got an assist versus Villa and could easily have got one against Liverpool too.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say in recent weeks. I think it's been improving virtually since day one. I was proper against him when we first signed him, but he's coming on a treat. I've got to be honest. I think it's just improving bit. But look, he's going to give the odd one away. He's one of them lads who, when he runs as well, he's all arms and legs. He's pretty dead angular, isn't he? He doesn't look comfortable on the ball. Don't know if that means that you're not comfortable on the ball. You just look uncomfortable on the ball. Luke Shaw, when he runs with the ball, to me, he looks well balanced and he just looks better. You know, better on the eye. But maybe that.
I think with Wan-Bissaka, I think it's kind of both. I think when he first arrived, not only is he that, kind of dangly frame where he's all arms and legs, but he also wasn't comfortable in his surroundings. I don't think he was comfortable having been bought for that amount of money.
Yeah, young lad, £50 million. So I think Man United.
I think I think both of those things were at play.
Yeah.
So I think he's not changed his physical appearance. He still looks that way, but he's starting to settle into his surroundings a lot more, and I think that's starting to show in the way that his distribution's got a lot better. I think. Yeah,
he's coming on a treat. Dead chuff with him.
I'm way behind on the chats here, by the way.
Yeah, apologies, lads. It's a difficult job for him reading me a question and then looking through them all again. So. But obviously he can't read them all out, but he does his best.
Sean, I'm disappointed that Bruno hasn't been rested, despite Ollie saying there was no chance of him wanting a rest. Ollie needs to give him a rest and give VDB a run out.
I agree with that, 100%. Whether he'll rest him in the cup now, that remains to be seen. It's obviously a massive game, United and Liverpool, whatever trophy it's in. And Ollie also is desperate to win a trophy, which the FA Cup's one of our few chances. Now that we're out of we're out of the Champions League, we're still in the Europa League, we're out of the League Cup. So I think he's going to be mad to win that game at the weekend. So he might think that he's got to play Bruno at the weekend. You might still not see Van der Beek, or you might not see him in his best position.
Thomas Omar, I've always believed that Ollie is slightly intimidated by the thought of taking off Bruno, and with Bruno's reaction.
Yeah, could be.
Carl Brockles, but without Bruno, we wouldn't be at the top half of the league at the moment.
I don't agree with that. The league is tight. The league is tight. It's proper tight. I was just watching Villa. What scores in that game now? Is it still 0-0? Yeah, it's still 0-0 with only 11 minutes to go. Yeah, you might have a point. Maybe we wouldn't be. We'll never know, will we? we will never know. If you have a different player playing, everything goes differently. The amount of points we've got with the style of football that we play has stunned me. I didn't expect to be top of the league by this stage. I really didn't. Also, what are we? Are we second in a minute with Leicester winning yesterday? I really didn't expect us to be this high up. It is going fantastic at the minute. And if we had played with a different player, the amount of points that we've won, it's difficult to say that we would have won that many points. It's a funny old game. As much as I would rather have played it differently, if I could rewind the clock and start the season again now with a different team, or just say, no, don't rewind the clock, leave it as it is, we'll start from here, I would say, well, we'll start from here. I think the amount of points we've got is above our expectations, and I'm not suggesting that if we'd have played with different players through that period that we'd have any more points. I'm astonished by the amount of points that we have taken.
Yeah, but if we could play that block of games that we've played so far, if we could play that block of games 10 times, you wouldn't choose to play that block of games the way that we've gone about playing those games.
If we had to restart the season, I would start it playing football the way I think we should play football, with the players I think that should play, because I don't think it'd be repeated. But the amount of points that we have taken is beyond, I'm going to say beyond my wildest dreams. It almost is, to be honest. It is. I know we've just gone second, but before Leicester kicked off last night, we were top of the league in January. If you'd have asked me, will you take me? I'd have looked at you like you had two heads.
Yeah. Craig Virgo, Ricky, why can't Luke Shaw ever get in the England team?
He's bound to be taking the manager's eye now.
Got to be, hasn't he?
Bound to be taking the manager's eye. Yeah, I think that might happen this summer. And there's an international break. There's a couple of, is it friendlies or qualifiers? I can't remember. But I bet he's in the next squad. I'll be shocked if he isn't. It's amazing the difference the media makes as well. As soon as they start pushing things on the media, I think they take notice. I really do. Yeah. Well, it's not just that they take notice, but it gets brought. It's the same thing, I suppose, but it gets brought to the eye, doesn't it? Everyone's talking about this player, like Jack Grealish.
Yes.
There was a massive public outcry really to get him in the squad. It was obvious he was a top player. But he wasn't getting in the squads, was he? And suddenly the media start banging on about him and he's in the squad. Is it a coincidence or not? You decide. City have scored.
Okay.
City have scored, yeah.
BL Gamer, imagine the link-ups if we played Pogba, Van der Beek, Marshall, Cavani and Mata. Don't want to think about it.
Don't want to think about it. It'd be mesmerising.
Thomas Omar, it baffles me how Greenwood is ahead of Mata in the pecking order.
Baffles me as well, mate. Absolutely baffles me.
Samuel I. Hoppard and Greenwood put a good crossing against Wolves. What did he do?
Against Wolves?
Yeah.
Can he remind us of it? Yes, I do remember seeing him put a good cross in. I do, honestly. Yes, I do. It was with his left foot from the left-hand corner of the box. I do.
Josh Harper. Bet Sporting thought they would struggle without Bruno. Now they're top of the league.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I'd like to know if he did think that they'd struggle. I don't know.
They're top of the league now, but there's a long way to go, isn't there?
Of course there is. Lawrence Hughes, thoughts on Indeed?
He looks a top player. I watched that game last night. He's an interesting one you've brought up, because I'm fed up of this stuff that's going around about you can play with one central defensive midfield player. I call them proper midfield players. A proper midfield player, when the team's on the attack, we've got to be in their half, and your average position when we're on the attack will probably be 15 yards outside their penalty area. If they clear it, you're there to try and get hold of it and give it again to our wingers or our forwards and try and keep the pressure on. Or if we're trying to find an angle, or we're trying to find an angle for a cross, if the winger's got two men on him and he can't get a ball in, he's got someone to play it back to. You're just there keeping the pressure on the opposition. So your two central midfield players need to be within 15 yards of their box when we're building pressure on them. When we're defending, when we're under pressure, they need to be 10 yards outside our box. So if you watch Leicester last night, they had Ndidi and Tielemans, and I watched them carefully, and they worked as a pair. Ndidi slightly left, Tielemans slightly right, and if the ball needed pressing slightly left, Tielemans Ndidi's a little bit ahead of Tielemans. If it needs pressing slightly right, Tielemans was a little bit ahead of Ndidi. They worked as a pair in tandem like that. Now, a lot of people think that central defensive midfield players, I think what's actually happened is they started to call midfield players as defensive midfield players, the likes of Keane and Vieira perhaps years ago, when they were playing with a partner like with Scholes for United, with Keane, who can score goals. They started to call him an attacking midfield player. They've got different strengths, and what the CDM is alluring to is describing the strengths of the player. It's not describing his position on the field. Paul Scholes and Roy Keane worked as a pair, like Tielemans and Ndidi last night, like McTominay and Fred do, like Matic and Pogba do, and like tonight it's supposed to be Pogba and Fred. They work as a pair in the middle of midfield. They get up together, they come back together. If somebody needs to be pressed right, he'll come this way a bit, or if he's left, he'll come this way a bit. They work as a pair. Nobody can do the job on their own. Now, like I said, it's a position on the field, and it's come from people actually using it as a description of a player's talents. So it's a description of a player's talents, yes, but it is actually a position on the field. So in that position on the field, you have to have two players. Now, it can be anybody. When I say it can be anybody could play there. You could put Dan James and Phil Jones there if you want. They're not suited to the role. It's a position on the field, so you wouldn't call Phil Jones a CDM, you wouldn't call Dan James a CDM. But if they were playing in that position, they are your CDMs. They are your so our CDMs are always. If Pogba's a CDM tonight, only because that's what they call them these days. Pogba is playing as a CDM. It's a position on the field, and you need two players playing in midfield who are not far in front of your defence when you're defending, and they're well into their half when we're attacking. They're not really CDMs, they're proper midfield players.
Yeah. Who was I going to speak to then? There was one,
Last one, I think, son, it's late.
Teme, hi Ricky. What position do you think Pogba operates best in?
The position I think that he's playing in tonight, I think. When he's got his discipline dead on, I think he's fine there. I mentioned the first time I said that I was impressed with him was when I watched him play for France against Portugal. I thought he was outstanding in that role. So if he keeps his discipline in two manners, his discipline in his positional sense on the pitch, and his discipline with his passing, not too many fancy ones or long ones, I think he's fine there.
Bruno Fernandes is the best centre attacking midfielder in the world.
Wow.
Barcelona destroyed one of our greatest ever teams with one holder. It's funny how we spoke about this a little bit before, didn't we, about great Barcelona teams. How some of their players are interchangeable. If you look at City today, actually. When
he says they destroyed us, which I take it he's talking about the Champions League final in Rome or Wembley or both perhaps.
Two, he's actually put two.
Right. 2 European Cup finals.
Yeah, I'm guessing so.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. That it's a little bit. Even if they look, I'll have to have a look at the team. I bet Busquets had a partner. I can't remember what the team was, but I bet he had a partner. But they also had Xavi, Iniesta, Lionel Messi. It's a bit rum saying a certain team can play with a single midfield player when they've got Xavi, Iniesta, Lionel Messi playing for them. You know what I mean?
They still will have had very specific roles. I mean, if you look at City's team today, who've City played?
Well, they've got Rodri and
they've got
Rodri and Gundogan, haven't they?
Rodri, Gundogan, and Bernard Silva playing across the middle. Yeah. Now, it's a little bit. For me, Gundogan...
Foden's playing on the left wing, by the way. He'll be tracking back.
Foden on the left, Sterling on the right, and De Bruyne at nine.
As a false nine, so to speak.
Now, these teams, what they're doing is they're getting players onto the pitch who are great at just maintaining possession constantly. Yeah. So you don't get to see them in defensive positions very often. You don't get to see the positions that they take up on the pitch when the opposition have got the ball, because they spend so much time in possession.
On the ball.
Barcelona are like that. We're exactly the same as that. It's the same philosophy that they're using.
In those two games, where they battered us in Rome and at Wembley, we barely had any time where we had them pinned back and we were passing the ball around and trying to make gaps to get through them. It rarely happened. If it would have happened, you'd have seen them with a back four, and you'd have seen them with 4 midfield players at least, probably 5. Another one would have dropped in, and you know,
they would have had one forward.
They'd have had one forward weighing up the top. Yeah.
It's about getting into position so that you're facing up the opposition while they're in possession.
Yeah.
Your defensive shape.
2-0 now, City. So that's that game done. So City will go top of the league, I think. So we've got a win to go top. We better wind it up with that, unless you want to do one more. Let's wind it up. I hope you've enjoyed that show. Anyone who's watching still, it's going to be a cracker. If you want to watch, Mark will have started now. I'm sure he will have done the on the United stand. I'm finishing here, and we will be back. I'll be back tomorrow with a rating show. If you've enjoyed that show, please subscribe. Please tell all your friends. If you didn't enjoy it, don't tell anyone. Keep stum.